Ladies and gents, as you can see, I'm in my parents' house right now for the holidays, but this didn't stop me from meditating and creating an entire list of the most important lessons that I've learned this year to go from a guy making a couple $1,000 per month to hitting my record month this year, which was like $32,000. And I don't say that like the money stuff to flex or anything, but just as a symbol to represent the success that I'm having as an entrepreneur. And of course, it's not all about the money, it's about the things that money get you and the freedom that I've gained throughout the process. So let me get into it and tell you what I've prepared. I'll give you like the titles. So first of all, I want to talk about the comfort zone. Second, about intuition. And then third, about health. Fourth, 10xing and doing exponential, having exponential growth, hitting, like setting really big goals. And then about consumption, thinking like a rich person versus a poor person, about removing things in your life and keeping only the things that matter, and then coherence. Okay, so these are the bullet points that I'm gonna write. I'm also gonna label them in the video so that you know where to skip to if you wanna hear about a specific topic. So the first point I wanna talk about is getting out of your comfort zone. And I know this sounds very cliche, you've heard it a billion different times, but let me tell you how this has helped me achieve like great things, especially this year. So I was living here in my parents' house, and then during the middle of the year, I decided to move out with my friends. And I'm not saying this is the reason for why I had a massive jump in my income, but it was a big contributor to doing so. I went from making $3,000 to $8,000 a month, all the way to making $20,000 to $30,000 per month instantly. Why? Because I had more time to focus on myself. I had less distractions. Now that I moved out with my friends as well, and this is maybe a bit out of topic, I realized that there are lots of perspectives and things that I learned from those friends. I learned that people are different. Not everyone thinks the same way like everyone else. People have different priorities, right? So I learned a lot of things from them, and I enjoyed my time with my friends. And now another thing that I want to do to get out of my comfort zone again is to move out on my own. So yeah, moving out from living with my friends to living on my own to see my fullest potential and to experience the full focus that I can get if I'm on my own. So we'll see how this goes. I'll document it here and try my best to do so. But that's me continually getting out of my comfort zone. And other ways to do that, like there are plenty of ways. It's just the biggest leverage activities that you can do to get out of your comfort zone that will yield you the most ROI. Now you might be thinking, okay, I want to move out of my comfort zone. I want to go from point A to point B. You know, there's the goal that you set for yourself. And that's why this goal is what motivates you to get out of your comfort zone. And one thing you need to be careful of when doing so is the moment you make a decision to get out of that zone and get into a new one, you want to execute it as fast as possible because you have two different realities. You have the inner realities and or inner reality and the outer reality. Inner reality is what you have in mind. You can believe that you're a millionaire or you are not affected by emotions. You can believe whatever you want in here. And this can in turn manifest into the real life that you can see, the materialistic world, let's say. So if you believe that you should move out from your parents' house, you should act on moving out as fast as possible because as long as you believe that you should move out and you're not moving out, this creates sort of tension and it creates this energy that you waste by thinking about moving out, but you're not doing it. There's no coherence in your inner world and your outer world. And this is when you should really, like when you make a decision and you have the power to do so, right? I'm not saying that move out of your parents' house, but if you know that that's the step you should do and you are able to do so, you have the finances and the capability of doing so, but you're not doing it yet, you're procrastinating, the energy that goes into procrastination and thinking about the topic, it's better spent on moving out and doing the things that will maybe make you a better person, that will make your business better, or your life better as a whole. So don't waste time in procrastinating about doing the thing. Just do it as fast as you get the means to do so. And this is how your inner reality matches with your outer reality. And another example of doing so is this year, or actually the coming year. In February, I'm traveling to Dubai for a seminar, or a gathering for agency founders and people who are into business. I'm talking to my mentor. He is based there in Dubai, asking him about like cheapest places to go to in Dubai so that I don't spend a lot of money. And he was like, "Yo, bro, you're traveling to Dubai and not Iraq." No offense, but he said that in a way that, like, I was looking to spend maybe $100 a night on a place to stay at. And then he reshifted my perspective. He told me, think big. Like, you're going there and you want to experience abundance. You want to become a millionaire. You want to become a person who makes a ton of money and can afford expensive places. So since you already have the money, why don't you spend $3,000 or $5,000 on those 7 days that you're gonna travel to Dubai? And I really thought about it, and there were two sides of me. One side that was telling me, no, save money, and the other side that was telling me, spend that money, know what it feels like to go to expensive places, to have more money to spend so that you become that person. And so this friction inside of me happened until I booked a place. It's called the Paramount Hotel in Dubai. And I'm paying like $3,500 for 7 nights there. And it's a great place. It has a really nice pool, nice views, nice interior, everything. And doing those, thinking about, okay, I want to become this person with money and not care about spending money, and taking the action is what will get me closer to reality. Whereas if I have this dream of becoming a person with great wealth and abundance, but I don't take the actions that will get me closer to that, I won't be coherent on the inside, and this will take up a lot of my energy and keep me away from getting this actual reality. So it's you don't need to only think about the thing and believe it. You also need to take action to get closer to it. I talked about this in earlier videos, but I wanted to emphasize on this point using different language and examples. But yeah, that's a really big part. And after getting the reservations to this hotel, I started spending even more money getting things that are expensive. Chair, I invested in that. Getting this iPad, for example. A lot of different things. Getting gifts for my family on Christmas, and it cost a lot of money, but it really reshaped my mindset on how to spend money, and spend it like a wealthy person, because I'm gonna make more money. I've built myself to become someone who's valuable to the marketplace, and the marketplace pays me for the skills I have. I can spend that money knowing that I will make more, and worst case scenario, if I don't make this money, then it's cool. I can trim down my lifestyle and live off of $1,000 or $2,000 a month. Like I have no problem with that in case the worst case scenario happens, and I can make this money off of one client. And this leads me to the other point about thinking in a different way when you're spending money. And it's also, I think, like, if you're in this self-improvement space and you're looking to learn how to make money, become rich and stuff like that, you've most probably already heard this, that think about money not as if you are losing this money, but what comes out of spending this money. And brokies, in a way, let me call it that, think that if they spend $1,000 on a course, they're losing this $1,000, and they would rather spend it on a brand new iPhone, or something that's materialistic, something that they can touch with their own hands, or actually get. Whereas rich people think, and you don't have to be like materialistically rich, you can be mentally rich, and this will of course manifest into reality. But the people who want to achieve the wealth that they want think of it as, okay, I'm spending this $1,000 that I have, it's all I have, but this will teach me how to make $2,000, and with the $2,000 I make, I can spend it and invest it again and make $4,000, and so on. And that's how there you see the difference in mentalities. And the people with the second case, where they think, okay, right now I'm spending 1,000 with the goal of making 2,000, these are people who actually go on and become rich. Whereas the ones who think about, oh, I'm spending $1,000, but I'm a loser, whatever, and they think about what they're gonna lose, these are people who are limited minded, and they're closed off. They can't imagine losing that amount of money, because it's so hard to make more money and whatever. So that's a mindset that you can adapt, that can literally change your life. And it's something that I'm still working on to this day. I'm not perfect, but I'm getting better at it. And the better I get at it, the more money I make and the more abundance I attract to myself. Now, another point I want to talk about is intuition. It's the voice that is very hard to explain, to rationalize, to back up with logic, but yet deep inside you feel like that's the right choice. Now, of course, there's a difference between feeling something at the moment and acting based on impulse, versus feeling this thing for a long period of time and knowing deep down that this thing is something that you must be doing. And you gotta like you gotta know the difference between the two. And if something has been bugging you for a while and you know that you should do this thing, whether it's, again, in my case, it was moving out, following different strategies in my business, cutting off certain relationships. So deep down, if you know for a long period of time that these are the things that you should do, then take action on those. And don't let anyone change your mind. At the end of the day, of course, you want to listen to the right people, you want to take people's opinions, but even though they share them, doesn't mean you have to take those opinions. Just as long as they align with your bigger vision and the life that you want, then yeah, these are the opinions that you should take, and you should act based on how you feel in the long term, at least. And that to me is the understanding of intuition. And of course, if you're acting on good intentions and you know that you gotta be maybe selfish in the beginning in order to be selfless in the long term, then that is like the right voice for you. For example, when I started making a bit of money and I had the opportunity to give this money to friends and family, I thought, no, let me keep it and reinvest it. And when I can make more money, then I can give this more money to my friends and family. And so that's what happened. And I didn't spend much, right, like on them and for leisure activities. I spent it on growing my business and buying the things that I need, improving myself, blah blah blah, to the stage where I started getting enough money to then share it with friends and family and go out for dinner and paying for the tab without even having to think about the amount of money or going out. Like, for example, yesterday we went out to two different places. As I once went out bowling, and then we played pool. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I were making maybe like back at the time I was making a few $1,000s, and paying $200 a night would be a lot, but right now, like I can do that without even thinking. And I think that's one of the beautiful things. Maybe you realize I'm talking a lot about money right now, but money is really important, and it's not everything that I think about, but it's something that is amazing because, but it can afford things that are really beautiful in life, and you gotta experience those things, and just by studying how to make money and enough of it to not have to think and talk about it, I think it's so important because poor people would say, yeah, like all you think about is making more money, or if money is your god, then you're gonna live a terrible life and whatever. And there is some truth to that, but it depends on how you understand it. If all you're living for is to make more money, and you don't spend this money to enjoy life, and you're consumed by making more and more and more, then yeah, like if you're in depression because of that, then sure, like change your trajectory in life. But if you have money as a goal to represent the success that you're having with your ventures, and to also use it to enjoy your life, and to support your loved ones as well, then money isn't a wrong thing. In fact, not having enough money to support your loved ones and to get them the experiences that they'd love to see, that is the wrong thing. And not having enough money and talking about and always thinking about how can I make more money here and there, and talking about the economy and how it's merciless, and watching the news and talking about politics, and oh, this politician stole our money, and this government is bad and whatever, having all these ideas consuming your mind, well, that is the sin right there. That is evil. Thinking about money all the time and thinking that it's a scarce thing that you cannot get, and talking about everything as if money is so important. So I'm talking about this. It's what I've experienced, at least, with a lot of people who say that, oh yeah, money is evil and it shouldn't be your main focus. Yet their main topics that they talk about is money and theft, and how government is stealing money, blah blah blah. That was unplanned, but I think it's a very important topic to talk about, is how you view money and how you use money as well, and make sure that you use it and it doesn't use you. So at least that's the life I'm optimizing for. So then another point that I want to talk about is health. So this year I got into a Muay Thai competition, and in this competition I injured my shoulder and did an MRI. Turns out that I have something called torn labrum. So I had to do a surgery for that. I had my hand stuck to my body for like a month or two. And I also did like recorded some videos with that condition, with the sling. I had my hand like this, and after that, my hand was completely frozen and attached to my body. I can barely move it. And I'm still to this day trying to gain like full mobility of my shoulder to get back to a normal life where I can do all types of activities, sports, lift at the gym, and achieve the body that doesn't have a defect or a weak point, which is my left shoulder. So during this period, I realized how important one hand is. I was I was trying to work and do some typing, and I would use my mouse and type with one hand, and it was super slow. I wanted to implement and execute on a lot of things with my business, but my productivity really dropped because I couldn't use my left hand. It was attached to my body all the time. And not only that, but with the surgery and after the surgery, I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't run. These are things that made my life better, that gave me more energy, that made my body better. And so, as a product of that, my productivity dropped, my confidence dropped, and I gained a lot of weight, a lot of fat. And that wasn't a pleasant experience. And to this day, my body fat is like 21%, and I want to get to 12% next year. So that's a goal that I set for myself. because I hate just standing in front of the mirror and looking and seeing a body that's filled with fat, let's say, when it could be a sculpted body that not only looks good, but also supports what I'm doing, that gives me a better feeling throughout the day. At the end of the day, like, what's the point of maybe putting on a lot of muscles or becoming big, but this would affect my productivity? At least that's what I'm optimizing for. Each one has their own goals with their bodies. It's your body, you can do whatever you want with it. But you know just having this experience was a huge reminder of the importance of taking care of your health, of the importance of having a fully functional body. Because it's true that when you lose something is when you really appreciate its value. Take care of your health. If you don't have health, then nothing else matters. Maybe you realize it when you get sick. The only thing that you want, the only goal that you have is going back to the normal state that you're in. And then you would have a billion different goals that you want to achieve. On a regular day, your motivation might be getting in and driving a Lamborghini, but on a sick day, your main priority is getting out of bed and being able to work properly and think properly, to have the energy that you have when you're not sick. Take care of your health and to take care of you in the long term. And then another thing that I want to talk about, another important lesson, is 10x is better than 2x. And this is a book that I'm currently reading, and it made me think about all these topics as well. It's a really nice book. Highly recommend you read it. I'm at 25% of it so far, and it's really nice. So 10x is better than 2x. Why? And as of my understanding and my experience so far, when you aim at 10xing something, at going from $10,000 a month to $100,000 a month with your business, you think about very few things that can push you to reach that $100,000 a month. Whereas when you think about 2xing things or doubling things, going from $10,000 to $20,000 a month, there are plenty of things that you can do, and it's not that exciting goal to work towards. And rationally, you think that going from $10,000 to $20,000 is all about doubling the volume that you're currently doing in everything. Whereas going from $10,000 to $100,000 forces you to think about innovative ways to achieve that goal without having to go through the grunt work of doubling the volume and doing more of something. So yeah, if you want to achieve big things, think about the most leveraged ways to achieve those things. And of course, couple this with the point that I talked about earlier in the video, which is getting out of your comfort zone. A lot of our 10x goals require us to get out of our comfort zones to reach them, whereas the 2x goals, we can stay in our comfort zones and still achieve them. So yeah, big results are a byproduct of big leveraged activities that we intentionally choose strategically to achieve those big results. So that's a good point to think about. Another point I want to talk about is you are simply what you consume. I can't tell you how many intelligent people I've met that are so smart and have amazing gifts and potentials, yet their life is so mediocre because of the beliefs they're surrounded with, the content they consume, the activities that they do on a daily basis that retracts from their intelligence and wastes their potential. And a proof of you are what you consume is very funny because, as I mentioned, I'm already reading the book called 10x is better than 2x. And in this book, the author is using the same quote that I read from another book, Reality Transurfing. In the book, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Alice asks the Cheshire Cat which way she should go when she reaches a fork in the road? That depends a good deal on where you want to go, said the cat. I don't much care where, said Alice. Then it doesn't matter which way you go, said the cat. So that's a really nice quote. It shows that, first of all, if you don't have clear goals, then no matter what directions you take, you're gonna like end up not reaching anywhere useful, right? This shows about intentionality, being intentional with everything that you do, having intention behind your actions. Most people live their lives like that. They don't know where they're headed to. And so all the activities that they do are random. Because they're random, then whatever they learn from their friends or family is what they do. What's interesting is that this quote right there relates a lot with the point we're talking about. A lot of people don't have set goals. And because they don't have set goals, they don't have clear directions to get to those goals. And because they don't have clear directions, then they look at their friends and family and they think that whatever their close people in their proximity are doing are the right things to do. And so, to give you a tangible example of things that I see, let's talk about my maybe older friends that I was super close to and used to spend a lot of time with, had amazing teenage years together. I still love them to this day. They're amazing people. But a lot of them have amazing potential. And whenever I talk to them these days, they mention about the big goals that they have set for themselves. And when I try and understand more about the priority of reaching those goals, they tell me that, yeah, yeah, of course, it's a big priority. That's what they say. However, their actions don't show that they have those goals as priorities. So maybe to adjust the point that I'm talking about, yes, a lot of people have great goals, but they don't believe they can achieve them, or they don't prioritize those goals that much. So what happens when you don't prioritize your goals is you tend to look at other people who also have no clue about what they're doing in life, and you see that, oh, they're having fun. They just watched this series, this TV show, and they enjoyed it a lot, so it must be something amazing to do. Or you look at people scrolling and sending memes to each other, and you see that, oh, cool, yeah, that's a fun thing to do, I'm gonna do it as well. So not only do those people adapt the short-term gratification mindset that they're just there to like gain pleasure from those activities, but they spend hours each day and days each year and years each decades. That was an interesting one. They spend all this time in their lives doing those activities that do give short-term pleasure but get them nowhere near the goals that they've set for themselves. So yeah, they consume the advice of others around them, yet the advice of those around them don't make sense because those around them also are getting advice from people who don't know what they're doing in life. And so it continues like that. Now, some of you watching might think that I'm speaking in a very judgmental tone here. It's us versus them, or this way is bad, or this way isn't. There's no right or wrong. You can disagree with everything that I'm saying here. I'm just saying this because I was looking at my past, and this was my past. I didn't know what I was doing. I was following people, I was following followers. I was spending and wasting my time on doing all these things that didn't lead anywhere. But it wasn't until I took grasp of my life and its direction that I started finding fulfillment, that I started experiencing growth, and I gained the freedoms that I didn't have before. I didn't have time freedom. I didn't have financial freedom. I didn't have the freedom to go wherever I want, whenever I want, right? All these freedoms, alongside the freedom of purpose, the freedom of doing whatever I want, were taken away from me because I realized that I was following the advice of people who didn't even have these types of freedom that I was seeking. An example of a flipping point in my life, that really got me from this person with no freedom at all to a person who started building those freedoms and attaining them was me at university. I got in the first semester. I saw maybe that's not what I wanted. And I calculated what my life would be like compared to 3 years from that time. So in 3 years, I could either have a business degree from university with superficial knowledge, or I could have an actual business making me $5,000 a month. And 3 years later, here I am with a business that made me $30,000 in the past month. And that gave me all this knowledge, that gave me all this freedom compared to just a degree with a mindset that I wouldn't wanted to have had I stayed and maybe had friends in university that shared the same goal of getting a job and the degree and just wasting those precious years in there. That was an instance of my life that was really pivotal and affected it a lot. And the final point that I want to talk about here, I think it's the final point, is how to remove negative things from your life. And it's so simple. It's so simple. And it is what determines what will come next in your life. And that's a big lesson that I learned or remembered by reading Reality Transurfing. And it is this: if you don't want something to have power over you, ignore it. As simple as that. Ignore it. You want to become super wealthy? Don't focus on the fact that you are poor. Focus on the ways that will make you wealthy. That's how people who are that broke became super wealthy. You know, you want to focus on making that $100,000 per month. Don't focus on saving $10 on a cup of coffee. No, come on, you want to make $100,000, focus on that $100,000, and it doesn't matter if you spend $10 here or $10 there. You know, don't be penny wise, be dollar wise. Be careful on how you spend your dollars and not your pennies. And so don't focus on the negative things that you have in life. Ignore them and think about the positive things that you can get. And you can use these principles in many ways. Personally, something I struggled with a lot this year, although I was gaining a lot of success that I dreamt about and all these freedoms that I had, I was in a way losing the freedom of following my own path in a lot of periods, because I was looking at people who inspire me and who are role models to me. I was watching their YouTube channels and their Instagram posts and whatever it might be. And I was seeing all the successes that they're having. And, you know, I think like there's always inspiration to that. But a lot of times I was falling into the trap of envy, of looking at their lives and being, why don't I have what they have? And I figured that a way to kind of reduce envy, to minimize it to the maximum, is by unsubscribing from their channels, unsubscribing from their accounts, not giving them attention enough, and just focusing on what I have and what I can have if I follow steps A, B, and C. So this helps a lot, and this is helping me in many domains of life in which I don't focus on what I have. I might have $1,000 in the bank account, but this doesn't determine my innate value. I know that I can be making $100,000 and have 100K in my bank accounts, and so I should focus on how to make that $100,000 and not on the $1,000 that I have. If you want to eliminate the influence of something, just ignore it. Don't think about how to eliminate it. Don't give it energy, because the more energy you give it, whether it's positive or negative, it doesn't matter. You're giving it energy. And the more energy you give it, the more influence it will have on you. So the best way to eliminate it is by ignoring it. And I think this principle also helps with a topic that's not very pleasant to hear about, but that's lust. And I think my generation today especially is struggling with it a lot. It's so easy these days to access content that we shouldn't access. And the best way, or one of the best ways to deal with it, is to ignore it. And if we want to ignore it, then we got to delete everything that forces us to like stay stuck with this trap. If you don't want to get tempted, then don't go to clubs that have nice looking girls or guys if you're a girl watching. Don't hang out with people that only talk about this stuff. Don't watch content that tempts you even more. And then this isn't related to lust only, it's also related to the bad habits that you do. If you want to cut off those bad habits, then you got to cut off the people who lead you or who influence you to perform these bad habits. And that's the best way to go about it. Ladies and gents, these are the important lessons that I could remember and share with you right now. Hope you found this valuable. Take care of yourselves, take risks, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.